I guess for better or worse, if you weren't a fan, I'll put air quotes around the word fan of online learning and technology, you had a rude awakening. You were thrown off the deep end and into the pool. So just as like an aside, like real world, uh, so I have a student who's got the certificate for extra time, and I've done it earlier in the semester where it's like, oh, okay, this is probably like a 1 hour quiz. Well, I'll just set the default to 2 hours, so everybody gets 2 hours. Well, now suddenly today it's like, well, I should get 3 hours, and yeah, you can go in and tweak the individual things, but yeah, just I guess if we want to just fast forward to the bottom line, the last slide might be expect the unexpected, just like in our research forum this morning with the students, expect the research. But I pulled out all the stops today. I found some archival footage of Dr. Freer back in the old days of Chalk and Talk. And I think there might be some of us who wish that's where we were, back to the good old days. Of course, in that archival footage, I had a photo of myself as a student, as a young man. And as you can see, I hope everybody's laughing, but
I am.
but, but anyway, on a serious note, yeah, so me, Generation Z, and you may have seen some of these snippets, part of my old age and memory, and we kind of are always building on our research and stuff. So I'll apologize in advance if some of the things we talk about you've maybe seen or heard from me or other settings. But so we had the baby boomers, right? I guess I'm a baby boomer, born in '58, and we had the hippies, right? Disco. So the millennials. And I guess these are the folks that are still in front of us now, Generation Z. And so from a faculty perspective, we might ask ourselves, well, what do we want from the Generation Z student? And this might be the ideal, right? The moving chairs like we have downstairs here in UCOM, and the breakout teams, and a lot less of the chalk and talk, concepts like interactive learning, right? All those good things. This is what we want. No argument that there's a lot of, I'll say, suggest research and firsthand evidence that it, like a lot of things, when it's done properly, it can be a great pedagogical approach when it's done properly. On the other hand, maybe again, some of us old timers feel that this is what we get from from the Generation Z student, right? Everybody looking down at their personal device. So what is the answer? Where's the middle ground between, the ideal and perhaps the less than ideal as depicted in this picture? So Marianne gave me some really good links, and I put them in chronological order. And obviously these were pre-COVID, but we've been talking about the transition to, shall we say, more technology. And I can go all the way back to my early days, my first full-time at Xavier University in, gosh, it was 2004, 2005. I was doing a live broadcast back to the University of Missouri, St. Louis. And we already had, I think we were using Blackboard. So it's been an evolution. And I think like all technology, there's, no stopping. It's like with computer chips, right? Every 18 months, the capacity doubles. And I think it's kind of the same pace of change and rate of change that makes our jobs really tough, to keep up. It seems like just when we've mastered one approach or one idea or one tool, we're hit with another one. So this article suggests that these are some of the top trends. You can read them along with me, but personalization. Later on in the lecture, we'll look at a particular model that you've maybe seen before that is a suggested approach to that online environment. Encompasses everything from enabling students to advance at their own pace to choosing when and where they learn. With COVID, we've seen it, right? Online, synchronous, asynchronous, hybrid. I think Dr. Freer has been doing it for a while, where if you want to come to class, you can, or not. And we give folks a lot of choices. Uh, Micro learning, I think this is kind of interesting. Right down the highway, a fellow by the name of Carl Kapp down in Bloomsburg. We've also, I think, used the term chunking. Uh, I've gone through a lot of the training with our learning and technology office. I've got all my badges, and they taught us about chunking. Uh, and I think it's also a certain psychology of Generation Z, where they want credit. And so even if it's just little breadcrumbs that we're giving them, it's important. It's a big motivator. So we want to think about this concept when we're developing and teaching our classes, this micro learning. VR, virtual reality. So you've heard me talk before about games, simulations, but they really weren't like live simulations. I've got a good friend down at George Mason who's been doing research on gaming and VR, and there's a lot out there. I think it'll land in our discipline sooner or later. Once someone smarter than me figures out how to have all those moving parts work in a meaningful way. But virtual reality, pilots use it, surgeons, it's being used in a lot of different professional fields. And I think for obvious reasons, it can be a real powerful tool. We can practice doing surgery without actually doing harm to someone, or practice landing a plane without crashing a plane. So some real potential there. This is a new one to me, or at least the phrasing of it. And I'd love maybe on the back end to get some comments about it. But this idea of high velocity learning, maybe this is our MBA model of the 7-week MBA, and perhaps again, if we couple it with micro learning, it could be a viable alternative or an opportunity for us. Second article, again, just another soundbite, and what jumped off the page for me, I put in bold and red, and of course, as tears are running down my cheek, you all know that I love the U-shaped tiered seating, but it's this idea that we have to adapt to Generation Z and have these applied activities, applied learning activities. A couple of definitions. Won't spend too much time on just describing them. I think we all have a pretty good working knowledge. We see them every day in class, so I think we know who Generation Z is. These are not my words, but just some other ways to think about Generation Z. Some of them I think are maybe a little harsh, maybe a little cynical, and maybe a little reality thrown in there, and I'll let each of you decide. And there's credit to Darla Rothman. So from a student perspective, and I can't remember if I came up with this or somebody else did, so I won't take credit, but and I like, you'll see a slide here where I talk about the rule of 3. It's the most things I could remember, but this idea from our perspective, things that we might build in. So like the student who maybe wants more time or just wants that cushion, the student might very well be able to complete the final in an hour or an hour and a half, but it's just that knowing that I've got extra time if I need it, it's there. It's that safety blanket, call it what you will. But anything we can do to address the anxiety of Generation Z. Behavior, certainly we've seen how they work, their expectations, emails sent in the middle of the night and you haven't replied in 2 hours, they don't understand why. And they want control over their environment, control, as we saw on those earlier slides, control about the pace, the when and where of they learn, the when and where, and frankly, the how of what they learn. Is all part of that Generation Z. And some of these aren't new concepts either. So talking about how people learn, we've known for a long time. Some people are learn by doing, some learn by reading, some learn by talking, some learn by a combination of all those things. So this model, I'll put up a picture, and then we'll talk about all four dimensions: managerial, pedagogical, social, and technical. And again, just want to give credit out of this team out of the University of North Carolina. So of these facilitation strategies, the first one they emphasize is that social interaction. I know I do it, a lot of us do it, where our first discussion board is a softball question, and maybe we'll set the example. We'll say, tell us something about yourself. What's your favorite food, and your favorite sports team, something like that, just to get the class to begin that interaction and getting to know you a little bit. And there's a high value put on this socialization aspect of creating that online environment. The second one, managerial, and this is probably where we have, I would say, the biggest responsibility, the greatest responsibility, and probably the most difficult one to carry out, to execute, whether it's over a 7-week course or a 15-week course. It's really hard, in my opinion, to not feel you're being adequate and timely enough if you're not on there literally 7 days a week, 3 or 4 times a day. I mean, yet I know I'll get whatever wrapped up into something, and suddenly I'll discover that I haven't checked in with my class for 3 days. And so for 3 days, in their eyes, I've gone missing. And so it's really, really tough. But I would also reference earlier comments about setting expectations. So I know for my MBA class, my 7-week MBA class that I just finished, one of the very first things I said was about expectations, and that from Saturday at 5 p.m. until Monday morning, I go dark, just on principle. Yet I would find myself occasionally passing through on a Sunday afternoon. And if there was a question there that I could answer quickly, I would, but I at least set those boundaries. And I think we need to have both boundaries, but also articulate them very clearly and make sure our students understand. Third one, the pedagogical, not pedagogical, we want to be logical, pedagogical strategies, different types of assignments. It's interesting what the disconnect, though, I'll say, with some research, although I suppose we shouldn't be surprised that different research streams come up with conflicting results, but I've seen articles that suggest a certain way to go, and then results from student surveys in terms of what they want, and it's the exact opposite. But I think we should approach it in with intention and in a deliberate way, and think about, what are the differences with an online course versus brick and mortar. So for example, if it's asynchronous, even if you videotape your lectures, you don't have that interaction. You don't have those nonverbal cues. Are students paying attention, or are they fast forwarding through your taped video? Facilitation strategies, the technological piece, they like this idea of a, quote, visual syllabi of the course. That's where you might record a little 5-minute video of yourself. I do tape an intro panopto thing, but it's really not so much to go over the syllabi. It's just to kind of talk at an overview of the course. And I'm a big fan of the big idea. So I try and distill the course into a big idea. So some of the study findings that I alluded to, at least some from some research, timely response. I think it's hard to argue that sooner is better. Now, this is one group work. I've found mixed comments about group work, synchronous versus asynchronous. I know at the University of Scranton, their online classes, at least in the health administration side, I've got a couple of friends up there. The course is otherwise asynchronous, except one night a week, there's a live Zoom session for 1 hour. And yeah, visual syllabi at least helpful. On the other hand, this is what students are saying, course design, motivation, etc., can have an impact on the success of the course. Technology is never going to go away. Perceived lack of sense of community. It'd be interesting to know what the group opinion is on when is an online class too big. And at the graduate level, undergraduate level, I think no matter what, if you get over 30 students in an online class, oh boy, that's really tough. And I've had that experience. I've been teaching a 1 credit hour course, a graduate level course for the medical school. And I think it was the second time around, they gave me 35 students, and we had a lot of discussion boards and discussion questions, and I was in there constantly. I think I ended up making about $2 an hour for that little side job. Okay, so top complaints, missing or disengaged. We've all had SRS reports that we may or may not agree with, that despite our best efforts, we can't always satisfy everybody. And you can see I've got a visitor here, so she's getting antsy. This is Sprinkles, my latest addition to the family. Customer service and advising. I know our help desk at Wilkes isn't always up 24/7, and that can be a dissatisfier. Here's my favorite: hate the group assignments and team projects. I have mixed feelings on it, especially in that online world. Although with technology and I think our comfort level with Zoom has gone up, where I'm not as adverse or unwilling to do group assignments in an online environment. I would say in the past, I felt like I failed at it, or it was just a bad idea. But I'm open to try again. So what do all of us need to do as an online instructor? Think about our own ABCs, our own anxiety, behavior, and control. I think we're all human. I think I would be lying anytime I go into a new environment. I was anxious over how can I make a 15-week graduate level MBA course work in 7 weeks, and are they going to be able to keep up, and is it going to be too much? And the jury is still out on that. I will say I made some modifications, and I'm going to make more modifications to that. Our own behavior, we get frustrated, we want control. Resources, we've got training, publisher support continues to get better and better. Practice, rule of 3. What I mean by this is don't try more than 3 things at once in terms of changes. Start with your baseline course and see how it goes, but I would not make more than 3 changes at any one time. And I think my last slide here, next to last slide, is best practices, detailed feedback. So with my class of 35 students, I was born at night, but not last night. And I've read a lot about how to get good student evaluations, first impressions. I go over the top with detailed feedback in the first 2 discussion boards. And then I dial it back. So I kind of know I'm investing heavily on the front end. Now, does that mean I'm gaming the system, or you should game the system? No, but I think it's being pragmatic. And I welcome others to agree or disagree. Yeah, and your availability within reason. A big dissatisfier, I think we all heard about this from our own Wilkes students last year, a clear schedule of due dates. this is an example of a great online resource, University of Illinois, just all kinds of really cool stuff, and it's accessible to anyone. Have to make a plug for the online environment for accreditation and assessment, simply because whether it's D2L or different quizzes, there's so much data that's collected for you. And I think even just little back of the envelope studies that we could do, grade point average versus number of hours spent online, part-time students versus full-time students, all different kind of metrics that we might be able to pick up. Now, I don't have a slide for, I'll stop sharing here. My other comment about leveraging the classroom, if I can shut this off here, stop sharing. Yeah, there we go. Is big difference between me teaching one online class or a student having one on class versus 4 or 5. To me, it was a night and day difference, a much, much bigger challenge, especially on that point about from the student perspective. We might build a schedule that we think is reasonable. Quizzes are on Tuesday and exams are on Friday, discussion boards due Sunday, but 4 other instructors might have 4 other schedules, and the students have told us they feel overwhelmed. And I don't know that it's a bridge too far to get the entire Wilkes faculty to agree that, okay, discussion boards are on Sunday and exams are on Fridays, but it might be an idea worth exploring maybe at the department or school level. But I think we did okay on time, other than a little distraction from my dog here. But
cute.
I'll open up the floor for questions. Sorry.
Cute dog. I've got a few comments. I don't think you're playing the system if you give detailed feedback early, because you're actually setting your standard. You're saying this is how picky I am, and then you back off later because you've trained them. So I don't,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way either. Yeah.
Yeah, because they know that they're going to lose points on it. I think the same thing with the 7 and 14 week thing. It is in the beginning, it's twice as much work for us and for them. But once we get in that system, it rolls out. Like everybody, I've got the same court. Oh, we need schedules. I hear you, Justin, on the schedules being flexible, just to let everybody, because classes are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, my assignments are Tuesday or Friday. So that way they kind of offset, but they're open up for 2 days so students can work it into their schedule. And if you haven't seen Rachel's course schedule table, ask for a copy. It's a very nice way to do it. Yeah. And my only other comment, students hate group work, face-to-face or online. But I set up a group workspace for them online.
Did you say they hate it?
They said they tend to hate group work no matter what you do with them.
Okay.
But I put it in a group workspace where they can, when you set your assignment up in groups, there's a special discussion board just for them. Yeah. And once I set that up, that seemed to get things going, because they could say to them, look, I don't monitor it, yeah, but it's where I could see who's working on it. So I could see who in the group's working on it. So that tended to buffer a lot. They didn't have to worry about meeting at a certain time. They could leave a comment there. So that's my only feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I forgot, truth in advertising. So this was cast as leveraging the classroom and that willingness to kind of step out there and experiment. So yeah, in the old days, quizzes and exams were, closed book and high stress events. And now we're at the other extreme where, am I going to use those camera technologies to make sure people aren't cheating? My approach for brick and mortar for the fall is I'm pretty much going to keep all the online stuff that they were already doing, and try, keyword here, try to do more of that interactive learning. And okay, get out of the tiered seats, and let's put the seats together, make 3 or 4 small groups, and move away from memorization. Say, for example, Porter's 5 forces model of competition, or for my marketing friends, the 4 P's of marketing. no, go ahead and apply the 4 Ps of marketing, to this new product. We've got a new product. Tell me how you would apply the 4 Ps of marketing to a new, diet club soda or something, and you could fill in the example. So I really think that the technology is going to let us, push a lot of stuff into that online space and really free us up to do more of the interactive learning, which I think the kids will like. Challenge is always going to be how do we assess individual students? That's the really hard part, or labor intensive part, I think, as we move away from closed book exams, the best rubrics. And I've been having my students do oral presentations for many, many years. And I've always said, I'm not smart enough to say that presentation was a 4.0 and this one was a 3.5. But if I have 4 groups of students get up and do a 10-minute presentation, there's at least one that's going to either be at the very top or at the very bottom. Just that, contrast effect. But anyway, it's enjoy talking about it. So thanks for the opportunity. And I'd love any.
Thank you. It's yeah, there's so many different ways. Mike, we could talk for an hour on testing. Does anybody else have any questions?
Just a comment, thank you very much, Dr. Matus. Was really grateful to hear online learning and Generation Z from our senior faculty like you and Dr. Lexer, Dr. Shaw's here, Lucy Hughes here, Dr. Alcola's here. You guys are all great mentors and teaching us new things. I think that is really good thing for all of our junior faculties. I appreciate that. One of the comments about online learning, I like the ABC that you used, anxiety, behavior, control. Am I understanding correctly? Yeah, I would like to use that word to rephrase it a little bit. I always change that. A, we must activate something new. B, believe about what we do. C, and consequences. I think based on what you just presented to us, I think we will apply some of the new things to our classes. Online learning is here to stay, even though whether we like it or not, here to stay. So we think we need to evolve ourselves a little bit more. Thank you very much.
No more snow days, though.
No more snow days. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And thank you to Anu, who's not here. Our fall symposium is going to be scheduled as soon as we know what other meetings are going to be happening in the fall. It's just a 1-hour symposium, so I don't want you to come in special for it. We're going to try and attach it to something else that you already have to be here. But as for today, I'd like to thank Justin and Anu for their presentation. But also, I really like the research symposium. I know how hard Harriet has worked on it, Rajun, and on behalf of Anna and Grace and myself, I want to thank you guys. You may not know, but we met pretty much twice a week all year long. This has been a big deal. We're trying to build a research culture, and so I think today was a very nice thing. So I'd like to thank you all and enjoy your afternoon.